The moment my sister-in-law announced her pregnancy, I felt it, not jealousy, not shock, but the unmistakable burn of a lie twisting its way into the room. The Ellison family sat around the long mahogany dining table that Sunday afternoon, wearing their usual masks, polite smiles stretched too tight, eyes that judged instead of blinked, and my mother-in-law's constant air of superiority drifting over everything like cheap perfume. Then Olivia stood up. She placed a trembling hand on her stomach and said the words that instantly turned every head toward her. "I'm pregnant." A collective gasp echoed around the dining room. My mother-in-law practically launched out of her chair, hands covering her mouth in dramatic joy. "Oh my goodness, sweetie," she cried. "I knew it. I told everyone. I could feel it." Of course she did. She could feel anything that benefited her bloodline and diminished mine. My husband Mark looked shocked, not happy, not excited, shocked. A split second of panic flashed across his face before he forced a smile. That alone made my stomach tighten. Olivia milked the moment like she was on stage. It all happened so fast. I found out 2 days ago. I wanted the whole family to hear it first. Everyone clapped. Everyone except me. Because while the rest of them celebrated, I was stuck on one obvious detail. 2 days ago, Olivia was drunk on my patio, crying about how her boyfriend left her and how she can't even keep a man long enough to start a future. 2 days. Not even 48 hours. And now she was supposedly 8 weeks pregnant? Sure. My mother-in-law turned toward me, already preparing the dagger. "This is such a blessing for our family," she said sweetly before her expression sharpened. "Some women take years to give us grandchildren." Her eyes slid down my body, deliberately. "And some can do it naturally." There it was. The jab. The insult. The reminder that she blamed me for choosing career over quickly expanding the Ellison bloodline. I lifted my wine glass and smiled just as sweetly. Yes, well, some women also lie naturally. The room froze. Olivia's face twitched. My mother-in-law inhaled sharply. Mark's fork clattered against his plate. "Excuse me?" Olivia whispered. I shrugged casually. "Relax. I'm just saying women are creative. Especially when they're desperate." A flush spread across her cheeks. And for a moment, just a tiny moment, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Fear. It was subtle, but it was real. And I knew instantly. She wasn't pregnant. Not even close. My mother-in-law stepped forward defensively. "Are you accusing my daughter of something?" I smiled politely. "No. I'm simply saying pregnancy is a delicate subject. And sometimes people rush announcements without medical confirmation." Olivia's voice cracked. "I have medical confirmation." "Oh? Wonderful," I said. "Then show us. We're family. We'd love to celebrate with proof." She froze. Literally froze. My mother-in-law glared daggers at me. "Don't you dare interrogate her like that. She's emotional." "Pregnancy hormones." "Sure. Pregnancy hormones. From a pregnancy she learned about 2 days ago. From a woman who was drinking straight tequila 2 days ago." I leaned back in my chair, swirling my wine. "Of course. Hormones." Mark cleared his throat. "Let's not turn this into something." I cut him off sharply. "Sit." He blinked, startled. I rarely use that tone. But when I do, he knows the conversation is over before it begins. Because if Olivia's lie was what I thought it was, Mark was involved. One way or another. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I opened it discreetly under the table. "She's lying. And they're using the pregnancy to take the inheritance. Check the locked drawer in your MIL study." My pulse didn't spike. It steadied. This wasn't just a lie. It was an operation. A family-run operation. I typed back quickly. Who is this? No response. But it didn't matter. Because for the first time everything clicked. Olivia's sudden pregnancy. My mother-in-law's desperate excitement. Mark's panic. The timing. The comments. The tension. They weren't celebrating a baby. They were celebrating leverage. Inheritance leverage. And I was the obstacle standing between them and whatever they wanted. I lifted my eyes and looked around the room. And I realized something powerful. They all thought I was clueless. They all thought I would fold. They all thought I was outnumbered. They forgot one thing. I don't lose. Not in business. Not in marriage. Not in war. And this? This was war. The rest of the dinner dragged on like a badly scripted play everyone was pretending to enjoy. The tension never eased. The fake smiles, the trembling voices, the over-the-top excitement, all of it smelled like fear, not joy. Olivia kept touching her stomach like she needed to remind herself where the pregnancy was supposed to be. My mother-in-law hovered around her like a guard dog. Mark avoided looking at me altogether. Every move, every reaction became data in my mind. Patterns. Tells. Weak spots. Because the second I saw that anonymous message, the entire landscape shifted. This wasn't just a dinner, it was a battlefield. After dessert, my mother-in-law patted Olivia's hand with a tenderness she had never once shown me. "Don't worry about anything, sweetheart," she cooed. "When the inheritance transfers, we'll make sure you and the baby are taken care of." I nearly laughed out loud. There it was. The truth. Unfiltered. Clumsy. Desperate. Inheritance? I said, raising an eyebrow. My mother-in-law froze for a fraction of a second, then smiled in the fakest, glossiest way possible. "Oh, darling, don't worry your pretty little head about that. Family finances can be complicated." I mirrored her smile. Complicated for who, exactly? For the people who have to fake pregnancies to stay relevant? Olivia's spoon rattled against her bowl. The room went dead silent. Mark finally snapped. "Can you please stop? This isn't helping anyone." "Oh, I'm not trying to help anyone," I said calmly. "I'm just listening. And observing. You know, the things honest people never have to worry about." I stood up. "I'm going to get some air." The second I walked out of the dining room, the whispers started behind me, scrambling, panicked, poorly coordinated damage control. I didn't go outside. I went straight down the hallway to my mother-in-law's study. The door was locked. Of course it was. But I wasn't 25 anymore and naive. I was 35, smarter, sharper, and prepared. I reached above the doorframe. Exactly where I expected it to be. A small silver key. MILs always think they're the smartest person in the house. They always think no one knows their hiding spots. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room smelled like lavender spray and old paper. Everything was obsessively organized. Except the lower left cabinet drawer. It had a newer lock. Stronger. Out of place. I crouched down, analyzing it. Pickable. Cheap. Basic. It took me less than 10 seconds to pop it open with a nail file. Inside were folders. Dozens of them. Color-coded. Dates on the tabs. Financial statements. Inheritance drafts. Property transfers. But one folder stood out. Yellow. No label. Sitting slightly apart from the others. I opened it. My breath stilled, not from fear, but from the cold thrill of confirmation. Inside was. An unsigned will draft naming Olivia's unborn child as primary heir. A medical form mock-up with a blank area for mother's blood work. A bank withdrawal form in my mother-in-law's handwriting. And a sticky note on top that said, Once confirmed pregnant, proceed immediately. Remove her influence. Her. Me. Remove me. My eyes narrowed, absorbing every disgusting detail. This wasn't just a lie. This was a coordinated operation to erase me from the family's financial power structure. And the pregnancy was the weapon. A fake pregnancy. A staged pregnancy. A tool. I heard footsteps outside the study. Shuffling. Confused. Approaching. I closed the folder quietly, placed everything back exactly as I found it, relocked the drawer, stepped out, locked the door, and slipped the key back on top of the frame just as the hallway lights flickered, signaling someone approaching. My mother-in-law turned the corner. Her face changed instantly when she saw me. "Where have you been?" she demanded. I smiled, the sweetest smile I owned. "Exploring." She stiffened. "My study is private." "Oh, don't worry," I said lightly. I didn't go inside. Her eyes searched mine for the slightest hint of a lie. She found none. Because I was better at this game than she was. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You know, dear, motherhood changes women. Makes them softer. Nicer. Less combative. Maybe you should take notes from Olivia." Yes. I definitely had confirmation now. They were all in it together. I adjusted my blazer. "Funny," I said. I was about to say the same thing. Her eyebrows pulled together. "Meaning?" "You'll understand soon." My smile hardened. Very soon. And then I walked past her, feeling her suspicion like heat on my back. Back in the dining room, Olivia was clutching her stomach dramatically, milking every ounce of sympathy while Mark hovered nearby, acting like the heroic brother. Pathetic. I stood at the doorway for a moment, observing every face. Every lie. Every manipulation. Then something unexpected happened. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Same unknown number. "You found the first drawer. Good. Now get ready for the real secret. Tomorrow, at 4:15 p.m., check the conference room at Mark's office. They won't see you coming." My pulse didn't quicken. But my eyes sharpened. This wasn't just about a fake pregnancy or an inheritance plot. It was bigger. Deeper. More calculated. And whoever was feeding me information? They weren't doing it to help them. They were doing it to help me. Because they knew I was the only one who could destroy this family's entire scheme. And I would. Piece by piece. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything, not work, not emails, not meetings. My mind kept circling back to the anonymous messages, the hidden drawer, the fake pregnancy, the will draft naming a non-existent baby as heir. Every puzzle piece snapped together with frightening precision. This wasn't a sloppy family scam. This was a long-term strategy designed to push me out and consolidate power between Mark, Olivia, and their mother. But the message about Mark's office. Tomorrow at 4:15 p.m. Check the conference room. Wouldn't leave my head. Someone knew something. Someone inside. Someone paying attention. I arrived at Mark's office at 4:10 p.m., wearing my calmest smile and my most intimidating heels. The receptionist greeted me warmly, too warmly. "Mrs. Ellison. Mark didn't mention you were coming by." "Spontaneous," I said. "You know how married life is." She laughed awkwardly, waving me through. I didn't go to Mark's office. I went straight to the large conference room at the end of the hall, the one with the floor-to-ceiling glass but curtains you could draw for privacy. At 4:14, the room was empty. At 4:16, someone entered. Olivia. I froze behind the cracked door, hidden. Olivia looked nervous, really nervous. She paced, biting her thumbnail, adjusting her blouse in a way that clearly said she wanted to look pregnant but didn't know how to pull it off convincingly. 30 seconds later, Mark walked in. Not my Mark, the polished, corporate version of him. The version that smiles with his teeth but never his eyes. "You're late," Olivia snapped. He closed the door. "I had to make sure she didn't notice," he whispered. She crossed her arms. "She's starting to get suspicious." "Suspicious? Suspicious?" "Oh, honey, we were way past that." Mark rubbed his temples. "Just stay calm. Mom is handling the legal part. Once the will is finalized, everything will shift in your favor." "In our favor," she corrected sharply. He sighed. "Yes. Our favor." I watched from behind the door, muscles tense, as Olivia stepped closer to him. "You promised me," she said, voice dropping. "You promised the inheritance would come to me, and the baby." Mark flinched. "Olivia. There is no baby." Silence. Olivia's face hardened instantly. "There was going to be one. We planned it." "Planned it." My stomach twisted with disgust. Mark lowered his voice. "We never should have tried to involve the baby angle. It's too risky. She's smarter than we thought." "Then you need to control her." Olivia hissed. "She's ruining everything." Mark's jaw clenched. "I'm trying." "You're not trying hard enough. Mom said she'll be the one to remove her influence if you can't do it." I gripped the doorknob, knuckles going white. "Remove me." Again the phrase. This time from Olivia's mouth. Mark sighed. "Look, the important thing is this: once the will is changed, we'll get everything. But you have to act pregnant. Mom said you messed up last night with the tequila story." Olivia practically snarled. "It was one slip." "One slip too many," he shot back. "She's already questioning you. And if she figures it out before the papers are processed, everything is gone." My breath stilled. This wasn't just some inheritance adjustment. This was a takeover. A removal. A strategic elimination of me from every financial, marital, and legal tie to this family. Mark continued, "We need 1 more week. 1 week, and the lawyer will sign off on everything. After that, she can't do anything." Olivia smirked. "And then what? Divorce?" He hesitated. "That's the part Mom wants to handle privately." "Mom. Handle privately. Meaning, destroy me silently." My nails dug into my palm. I waited. Listened. Absorbed every word like evidence for the courtroom of war. Mark leaned against the table. "Just keep pretending to be pregnant. I don't care what you have to do." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Fine. But if this goes wrong?" "I swear, Mark, I won't take the fall for you." "It won't go wrong," he assured. "Not unless someone is feeding her information." My stomach tightened. Olivia scoffed. "Who would do that? Who would risk turning on this family?" Mark's expression shifted, dark, calculating. "Someone who hates us. Someone with nothing left to lose." Olivia froze. "Dad?" My blood ran cold. Mark didn't answer. I couldn't breathe. Dad. Their father. The man in the nursing facility. The man who was mentally slipping, physically weak. But apparently not blind to the monsters he'd raised. He was the one helping me. He was the one sending messages. He was the one feeding me receipts from the shadows. Because he knew what they were doing. And he wanted me to stop it. My heart hammered, not with panic, but with resolve. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a coordinated coup. A hostile takeover. And they seriously thought I would crumble under it? They had no idea who they were dealing with. Mark exhaled. 1 more week. That's all we need." Olivia nodded. "Fine. But fix your wife." He stiffened. "I'll handle her." I smiled in the dark doorway. "No, Mark. I'm going to handle you. And very soon. I didn't move. Not yet. I stayed silent in the cracked doorway, committing every syllable of their treachery to memory. The arrogance of it all, the entitlement, the assumption that I was some clueless accessory they could quietly erase, ignited something cold and sharp inside me. When they finally ended their meeting, I slipped down the hallway before they could see me, heels clicking softly like a countdown. I made it to the elevator just as Olivia stormed out of the conference room, wiping tears with the back of her hand while Mark tried to soothe her. Pathetic. Desperate. Cornered animals trying to plan the hunt. I got into the elevator and watched them from the narrowing gap of the doors, the image like a cinematic closing shot. Mark's expression was a mask of panic he didn't have time to hide. Olivia looked like a child afraid she'd get caught playing a dangerous adult game. They weren't predators. They were amateurs. The elevator doors shut, and the rising sensation in my chest wasn't fear, it was power. When I stepped out of the building, I finally allowed myself a single, steadying breath. The winter air sliced across my skin, crisp and bracing, fueling me with energy I hadn't felt in years. If his father was feeding me information, then we were allies now. Two people targeted by the same family machine. Two people who saw the truth while everyone else bowed to lies. And if he could get messages out from a care facility? He wasn't as helpless as they pretended. But first, I needed evidence. Bulletproof evidence. Receipts they couldn't wriggle out of. So I drove straight to the nursing facility. The receptionist greeted me warmly, again, too warmly. "Oh. Mrs. Ellison. Visiting father-in-law again?" "Yes," I said. Unexpectedly. She waved me through, but her eyes darted nervously to a phone on her desk. Was she working with them? Or was she afraid of them? The care facility's hallways were quiet. Too quiet. I approached his room slowly. His door was cracked open. Inside, the old man sat upright, staring out the window. Not confused. Not vacant. Perfectly aware. He turned before I even spoke. His eyes landed on me with recognition I didn't expect. "You got my messages," he whispered. My chest tightened. "It was you." His lips twitched. "Of course it was me. They think I'm gone up here," he tapped his temple, "but I see everything. I hear everything." I stepped closer. "They're planning to change the will using Olivia's fake pregnancy." He let out a dry laugh. "They've been planning it for months." Months. My hands curled into fists. He reached slowly to the nightstand, pulling out a small, battered flip phone, one of those cheap prepaid ones people forget even exist. "I've been recording them," he whispered. My heart stopped. "Recording, what?" He grinned. "Everything. My wife's lies. My daughter's schemes. My son's spinelessness. You want receipts?" He lifted the phone. "I have hours of recordings. Conversations they thought I couldn't understand." I sat down, breath catching. "Why give them to me?" His eyes softened, deep, exhausted, apologetic. "Because you're the only decent person connected to this family. And because my wife has been stealing from me for years. Draining my accounts. Hiding documents." His voice cracked. "My own children are helping her." My throat tightened. "I'm so sorry." He shook his head. "Don't be. I'm not giving you this because I want comfort. I'm giving you this because I want justice." He looked at me with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. "You will destroy them. All of them. And I will help you." Before I could respond, footsteps echoed down the hall. A familiar voice. "My mother said she's in here." "Mark." My pulse sharpened instantly. Before I could panic, the old man slipped the phone under his blanket with surprising agility. The door swung open. Mark appeared in the doorway, chest rising and falling with frantic energy. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. I turned slowly, composing the calmest expression I owned. Visiting your father. He blinked. Why? Because unlike the rest of your family, I said coolly, I don't abandon the elderly. A muscle in his jaw twitched. Behind him, Olivia appeared, fake concern plastered on her face. We were just coming to check on Dad. The old man laughed, a dry, brittle sound loaded with meaning. Check on me? Don't you have more important things to pretend? Olivia's face darkened. Mark tried to recover. We were worried. No, you weren't, the old man said bluntly. But he nodded toward me, is the only one who ever comes here without wanting something. Mark stiffened. I smiled politely. I didn't know I needed permission to visit. He dropped his gaze, his dominance wilting. You don't. I was just surprised. Get used to it, I said. I'll be around more often. The old man smirked, catching every hidden meaning behind my words. I could feel Olivia's glare burning holes in my back as I moved toward the door, brushing past them with confidence. As I stepped into the hallway, the old man called out, voice strangely strong. Take care of yourself, daughter. Mark and Olivia turned to him sharply. But he wasn't looking at them. He was smiling at me. Driving home from the nursing facility, I felt an unusual calm settle over me. Not peaceful. Not relieved. No, this was the calm of someone who finally sees the full chessboard, every piece, every threat, every weakness. And more importantly, every path to victory. They had underestimated me from the beginning. They thought I was busy working, raising our daughter, minding my own business. They didn't understand that a woman like me doesn't lose focus, she simply waits for the right moment to strike. By the time I stepped through the front door, Mark was already inside. He was pacing, checking his phone obsessively, like someone waiting for a bomb to go off without knowing where it was planted. He froze when he saw me. Where were you? He demanded. I hung up my coat slowly. Out. With who? I raised an eyebrow. You don't get to interrogate me. He opened his mouth, then closed it, jaw tightening. We need to talk. I walked past him. Then talk. He followed. You've been hostile. Suspicious. Confrontational. What's going on with you? I turned sharply. Do you really want an honest answer? He faltered. Well, yes. Good, I said. Because honesty is the one thing this family has never tried. His eyes flickered nervously. You're being dramatic. Oh, sweetheart, I said, stepping closer. I haven't even started being dramatic. His face twitched. Before he could argue, his phone rang. He flinched at the caller ID. Mom. I laughed softly. Go ahead. Your commander is calling. He glared at me, but he answered. The moment he put the phone against his ear, his expression changed, dark, tense, worried. Yes, Mom. No, she's here. I don't know. What do you want me to say? No, Mom, stop, calm down. My mother-in-law's shrill voice screeched through the speaker, audible even from where I stood. Mark, if she found out anything, if she said anything, we are finished. Do you hear me? Finished. His eyes darted to mine. Mom, lower your voice. I told you to control her. Is she listening? Mark? Mark. I walked over, plucked the phone neatly from his hand, and placed it against my ear. Her voice exploded. You little. Hi, Patricia, I said sweetly. How's your day going? Silence. Deep, icy silence. Then. What do you think you're doing? Talking to the woman who tried to stage a fake pregnancy to steal an inheritance, I said calmly. You know. The usual. I could almost hear her pulse spike. You don't know anything, she hissed. Oh, but I do, I replied. I know about the will draft. The fake medical documents. The inheritance transfer. The plan to remove my influence. Did I miss anything? She inhaled sharply. You were in my study. Your study? I laughed. Please. That room is a museum of criminal incompetence. You might as well have left the evidence on the kitchen counter. Her voice dropped to a vicious whisper. You have no proof. I smirked. Patricia. I have more proof than you could ever imagine. And the old man's recordings weren't even out yet. She tried to regain control. If you threaten my family. Oh, honey. My voice dropped. I don't threaten. I execute. A beat of silence. Then, give the phone back to Mark. No, I said. I think we're done for tonight. Rest well, it might be your last peaceful sleep for a while. I hung up. Mark stared at me, pale, tense, shaking. What did you do? He whispered. Nothing yet, I said. But you should be very, very worried about what comes next. He raked a hand through his hair. This is getting out of hand. You're misunderstanding. Really? Because it seems pretty straightforward to me. I moved closer. Your mother has an entire drawer dedicated to removing me from this family. Your sister is pretending to be pregnant. And you, Mark, you're standing in the middle of it all pretending you're innocent. He looked away. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he murmured. No, I said. You're right. It wasn't. Because if any of you had realized who you were dealing with, you would have chosen a different target. He exhaled shakily, shoulders slumping. Can we please talk privately? Sure, I said, walking past him. But understand something very clearly, the version of me you thought you knew is gone. He followed me into the living room. I never wanted to hurt you. Then why did you? I asked. He froze. I didn't. You know, I said quietly, if there's one thing I hate more than betrayal, it's cowardice. His throat bobbed. I'm not a coward. You let your mother control your marriage. You let your sister manipulate your father. And you let a fake pregnancy become your family's financial strategy. I looked him dead in the eyes. Tell me again how brave you are. He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I made mistakes. Stop calling them mistakes, I snapped. They were choices. His breath hitched. He knew I was right. I leaned forward. You're going to tell me everything. Right now. His voice cracked. If I tell you, everything will fall apart. No, I said coldly. If you don't tell me, everything will fall apart. He stared at me, broken, cornered, defeated. Fine, he whispered. I'll tell you. Mark stayed on the couch, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like a child caught stealing but too ashamed to admit it. For a moment, he didn't speak. He just breathed, shallow, shaky, terrified. The kind of fear a man feels when he realizes he has pushed the wrong woman too far. Finally, he lifted his head. I didn't want it to go this far, he whispered. I was trying to protect everyone. I laughed once, sharply. Protect? Mark, you couldn't protect a houseplant. He winced, but I didn't care. This wasn't the time for gentleness. This was the time for truth. He exhaled, defeated. Mom, she started everything. She said you were trying to take control of the family's finances. I blinked slowly, absorbing the stupidity of the statement. So let me get this straight, your mother, a woman who hasn't worked a day in 20 years, thinks I, the only financially stable human in this bloodline, am trying to take control? I know how it sounds, he muttered. No, I corrected, you don't. He rubbed his temples. She said Dad was losing his mind, that he was writing new wills every year, that you were influencing him to leave everything to you. I stared at him. Then I burst into laughter. It wasn't humorous laughter. It was the kind that comes from sheer disbelief. Your father, I said slowly, can barely write his name some days. And yet she thinks he's secretly drafting wills in my favor? Mark didn't respond. Because he knew it was ridiculous. He knew it. But he wanted to believe his mother so badly that logic wasn't part of the equation. I leaned forward. So she convinced you I was plotting to steal the inheritance? He nodded shamefully. And your brilliant solution, I continued, was to team up with your sister and fabricate a pregnancy to force a new heir? He swallowed hard. It wasn't my idea. Did you stop it? Silence. Did you? I repeated, sharper. No. That means you approved it, I said. Congratulations. You're officially an accomplice in the stupidest crime of the century. He buried his face in his hands again. I didn't know she was faking it. I thought she really was pregnant at first. And when did you figure it out? He hesitated. Last week. I raised an eyebrow. Funny, because you didn't seem shocked at dinner. Panic-stricken, yes. But shocked? Not even close. He flinched. I'd hit the nerve straight on. He exhaled. I found the test box in her car. It was unused. So she didn't even bother opening it? I said. Classy. Mark's voice was barely audible. I confronted her. She said she was doing it for the family. For Mom. For continuity. And for the money, I added. For the house, the accounts, the land. He didn't argue. You know what the worst part is? I asked quietly. He looked up, eyes red. What? You genuinely believed I wouldn't notice? That I wouldn't fight back? That I wouldn't uncover all of this? My voice lowered to a razor-edged whisper. You truly believed I was weak. His shoulders collapsed under the weight of the truth. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I didn't know what to do. Here's a revolutionary idea, I said. You could have told the truth. He closed his eyes, breath trembling. I was afraid. You should be, I said. Because fear is the only thing you're going to feel for a while. He swallowed hard. What are you going to do? I smirked. Me? Oh, nothing, yet. But your mother should be very worried. He blinked. What do you mean? I stood up slowly, letting the silence stretch in a way that made him squirm. Your father gave me something today. Mark's eyes widened. What do you mean gave? Recordings, I said. Dozens of them. Every lie your mother told him. Every plan she whispered. Every insult. Every instruction to remove my influence. Every attempt to steal his money. Every moment she thought he wasn't listening. His face drained of color. And the best part? I continued. Every conversation she had with you and Olivia. No, he whispered. No, 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 that's impossible. Oh, it's very possible, I said. And very real. He stood abruptly, panic flooding his expression. Those recordings, they could destroy us. I smiled. Exactly. He shook his head. You're not seriously going to use them. You bet your mother's fake pearls I am. He stepped forward, desperately. Please, don't. You don't know what this will do to the family. Oh, I know exactly what it will do. I looked him dead in the eyes. It will end the tyranny of the three of you over a man you pretended to care about. It will expose financial fraud. It will expose the inheritance scheme. And it will prove that I was right. He looked shattered. Please, he whispered. If you release those recordings, Mom will fall? I offered. Suffer consequences? Lose everything she stole? Good. He closed his eyes, broken. I love you. No, I said gently. You love control. You love comfort. You love the version of me who didn't know any better. His voice cracked. Can we fix this? I leaned in, inches from his face. Mark. I'm not fixing anything. I'm finishing it. He stared at me, devastated, as I walked away. But before I left the room, I turned slightly and said, "Oh, and tell your mother to rest tonight. Tomorrow, I begin."